Hey Kathy, thank you for coming in today. I'm glad you did. That's a tricky one. We got a tricky leg. I want to attack this again, like we talked about, kind of a couple different ways. I think the easiest thing that you can do at home that you haven't been doing would be ice. Obviously, we found tender area in the hip. So I think sitting on some ice probably is the easiest thing to do. Not really picky on timing, whether that's early in the day or later in the day. I think just doing it, especially if you can find a tender spot. I don't think there's ever a wrong time to even throw 5 or 10 minutes of ice on that. In addition to that, if you want to try the anti-inflammatories, be my guest. I think at this rate couldn't hurt. It's like we're waiting on, we're trying to fix the numbness, but that's only going to go away if the inflammation and the mobility is right in the hip and the core. So your job, easy job, get the inflammation down via the ice and the pills. Second thing, the physical therapy way we're going to address this is going to be just a few different movements. Again, I'm kind of playing both sides here. We're not going too far down the stretch path or really even too far down strengthening. It's kind of a little bit of both, just really some comfortable movement. We found some movements like the sumo squat and the bending over and some things that were aggravating to that area. And so what we're trying to do is kind of reintroduce those a little bit lighter so your hip gets used to those again. You are too athletic and flexible to have such trouble moving with certain movements here. So we're gonna get those back. Once we get those back, then whatever the actual culprit is, it will show up a little bit easier, I hope. Right now, everything's a little mashed just because everything's kind of ticked. So we're gonna get it less ticked. I got 3 moves for you. The first one, I think the one I'm probably the most excited about, the one I think is gonna give you the most relief, is gonna be this kind of hamstring lunge and stretch combo. So I want you to put your foot up on, maybe the second or third stair at home. I think stairs is a great place to do this. We want to go back and forth between loading the legs. So right now my hamstring is working. I got all my weight on that left leg, my hamstring, my hip, everything's working for just a brief moment, and then we rock that back into a gentle stretch. And obviously you're gonna feel that kind of up high. I don't want that behind the knee hamstring feeling. I want this upper hamstring sensation. So whatever you gotta do with your posture to get it there. So the reps are gonna look like this, just maybe a 1 or 2 seconds. And then here, nice little stretch, just a couple seconds, and then just back and forth. So not spending too much time in any of the positions, slow movements, comfortable transitions, right? We talked about how trouble from transitioning from sit to stand or bent to back over, and this will help with some of that. So we're elongating the hamstring, elongating the hip, and just really, again, in my opinion, if we're doing this light and comfortably, can't do it enough. So even if you just want to spend a minute on it, that's fine, but try to hit it a little bit frequently throughout the day. All right. Same position, just we don't need a step. This was for the outer hip, a little IT band technically, but we're not really treating it as such. It was more just a movement that felt stiff. So, and again, with all these, especially with that first one, go ahead and hit both sides. So maybe a minute on each side would be plenty. This one's gonna be one leg behind the other, and then that leg that's behind, we're going that way. We're leaning the hips towards my left side, just feeling some tension kind of throughout that hip and booty. All right, good lean. And then again, we're treating all of these not just a long stretch hold. We don't care about stretching, you're flexible. We care about movements. So we're going to stretch and then return back. And then stretch and return back to the top. I want these to be more about getting your movement back than just stretching into oblivion here. That's not gonna do us any good. Again, a handful or maybe up to a dozen there, and then you flip sides, and we do both. And I like the idea of doing both sides again, so you can kind of monitor, oh, my right one's really tight today, I want to spend a little more time on that, or, oh, my left one's getting better than it was yesterday. That's how we're gonna know if we're getting somewhere, is by doing both sides and kind of continuously evaluating and seeing. So I love the hamstring one, I love this side to side one, and then the last one's gonna be for the piriformis area, kind of general booty stretch. So this one, side sitting, easy enough to do on the edge of the bed or couch, anything like that. Big thing that we were kind of missing here. Naturally, you kind of went into that tucked leg, that yoga position. I want this knee at a 90, right there. Turn a little bit, and then remember that posture, nice and tall while you do these. So you're just kind of leaning your chest down towards your knee. Remember we kind of talked about on the table, anytime you want to stretch your piriformis, if you get your knee towards the opposite shoulder, that's really the angle we're trying to go for. So kind of that left knee, or excuse me, right knee touching left shoulder here in my position is what we're gonna do. And again, reps, not just stretching, not just getting down here. Now, if it's really tender, if it's really, really, really sore, go down here, deep breaths, hang out, kind of let that tension release a little bit. But if it's manageable, which I think it will be throughout because you're handling that pretty good, go ahead and do some reps, up and down, really focusing on the posture with this one. Because your hip does not do well when we have bad rounded posture, but when we're nice and tall here, that hip is really getting addressed. Right there, and then again, you would just kind of sink around or flip around to the other side. Again, 90 degrees at the knee, turn it just a touch, and then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. So I love these three. We got the hamstring lunge move, we have the IT band side to side, and then we have this one with a bent knee and good posture, stretching kind of that general butt and piriformis area. Again, in my opinion, you cannot do enough of those as long as you are very comfortable and light. These are not aggressive moves. And then the last thing we talked about was, activity levels. Again, I love that we're not doing a lot of PIO or really hard interval work, biking or anything like that. I'm still good with the walking. I'm good with yoga at home, and maybe some casual biking. But that's probably about as crazy as I'd get it. I think anything else is just going to kind of muddy the waters and not really let us know what's happening. If we get sore, you pull another, pull the other hamstring, it's only going to make this more complicated. So I just want you as comfortable as we can. Again, we don't know when the numbness will go, but we know that just having more mobility around that hip and more comfortable movements. When in doubt, if you think you're making really good progress, try that. Remember that sumo squat we tried? Beginning of the session, could hardly go down, very tight. End of the session, we got some really good depth, didn't feel as tight, right? Same with this bent over. Those are going to kind of be our test to see, is my movement getting better? Can I bend? Can I squat? Can I lean? And if all those are going the right direction, then I think the hip will follow and the leg will follow. So that's my plan for now. Try that for about a week and a half. Next time we're going to try. We'll definitely dive in a little bit more with the hands-on and those kind of things, and just kind of get directly to the spot, as well as look at the core and a little bit more. But I'm hoping that's it. We'll know when we know. It was good talking to you. Good seeing you. And again, I'll see you next week. Bye.